music. All right, so in the past, we have multiplied polynomials. This lesson, we're dividing polynomials using the area model. So that's that rectangle that you're familiar with. This is what delta math is going to look like when you're doing your problems on the computer. However, what I've found is it's much easier to set the problems up like the rectangle on the right. So this is how we're going to show work. And how this is set up is that the 8x cubed, or the leading term, the highest power is in the first rectangle. And then the additional terms that I'm underlining are in the circles. So that's the difference between delta math and the way we're going to do it in class. The reason why is the circles help us to figure out what two terms in this little peanut shape are going to equal the middle circle term. So this is negative 2x squared based on the problem. So that's why we're setting up the problem this way. So our job is going to be to divide these two polynomials. So I've already set up most of the problem. We're going to divide by 4x plus 3. So what you're going to notice is that we want to figure out this term on the top. So we want to find out, what do we multiply 4x by to get 8x cubed? Now that may not be easy for everybody, so instead it may help you, since we're doing division, for x, so the top portion of the box. So if I divide this first box by 4x, then I can see 8 divided by 4 is 2. So I'm going to get the top value here on the box, which is the quotient that we're looking for. So it's 2, and then subtract 1x from the bottom, so it's x squared. And you can see that 2 times 4 is 8, and 8x squared times x is x to the third. So it's what we initially started with. Then, since you're distributing here, trying to do this in pink, then you also have to distribute down below. So you have to be careful about that. So this would be 2 times 3 is 6, and then it's x squared. So now we're back to that peanut idea that I was talking to you about earlier. And we've got to figure out what goes in this box right here in order to get negative 2x squared. So if you can do this in your head, that's great. If not, I'm going to show you on the bottom of this box here how you would find it. So we started with 6x squared. So I'm looking for something that's going to equal the negative 2x squared. So that is the question mark, is that top box right here. So I'm just going to subtract 6x squared from both sides. And then I'll get the question mark, which is equal to negative 8x squared. So if you can do that in your head, again, you don't have to show any work, but for some of you, it will help. So this is negative, and take the sign with you, 8x. And then we're going to do it all over again. So we're going to ignore this first column, and we're going to just focus on the second column. So I'm going to do that in a different color so you can see it. Okay, so here I'm going to divide again by 4x. So negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. X divided by x, oh, it's squared. Squared right here. So I missed that squared. Is negative 8x squared. Well, that was a good check. And then we're going to distribute the negative 2x and the 3. So we get negative 6x on the bottom. And that's going to line up our peanut.
that we're going to use. So this one's a little easier to see right off the bat. You can see that we have negative 6x, and to get this middle negative 26, I'm just going to subtract 20x from it. So I didn't show any work because I was able to do that in my head, and you are welcome to do that as well. Okay, now we're going back to the third column. So I'm going to divide by 4x again. So negative 20 divided by 4 is, so negative 20x divided by 4x is negative 5. And then negative 5 times 4 is negative 20x. So negative 5 times positive 3 is 15. Oh, negative 15. And then what do you add negative 15 to get negative 15? Well, that's 0. That 0 is our remainder. It's what's left, meaning in this case, there's nothing left. So we're going to come down here and write the actual answer. So it says this big polynomial divided by this little polynomial equals the quotient, which in our problem is 2x squared minus 2x minus 5. Okay, so that is number 1 done. Make sure you're pausing the video also. All right, going on to 2. This is problem number 2. Again, this is the rectangle that Delta Math will show you, but we will set up our rectangle. So this is what Delta Math is going to show you. We're going to set up our rectangle like this on the other side. So just as a reminder, putting the first term in the first box, and then the additional terms in the polynomial go in the circles so we can find our pairs of like terms. Okay, it looks like we are ready. I'm just going to write the divisor out here. And we're looking for the quotient, which is the top. So it's the quotient. Okay, so we're going to divide by 2x. So if we divide by 2x, 6 divided by 2 is 3. And then x cubed minus 1, because that's how powers work, is x squared. So these multiplied together give you the 6x cubed. So now we're going to distribute down here. So this is going to be 9x squared. So this is interesting because we already have 9x squared, which means in the peanut, this would be 0, and be careful, it's x squared. Look at all the like terms here. 2, 2, power 2, power 2, power 2. Sometimes I forget that. So just look for that. Okay, so when we divide by 2x, it's not going to matter because we're going to get 0x here. So I guess what does matter is the power. It's going to be power 1. But you still have to put the 0 there. So 0 times 2 is 0. And then you still have to follow through with 0 times 3. So this is 0x. So this peanut will be easy because we have a 0 there. So it's negative 16x. Then we're dividing out 2x again. So we have negative 8. And then the x's become 1, so they cancel out. So negative 8 times 2 is negative 16. Negative 8 times 3, so that's here and here, is negative 24. And that's great because that means this term right here at the end has to be 0. And just a reminder, it's the remainder, meaning there's nothing left over. So you have to be really careful about how you write this stuff for delta math, because if you write it as we have found it up here, it will not mark it correct. So you have to be careful and rewrite it as 3x squared minus 8. Okay. Okay, the next two problems are exactly the same. So you need to pause the video and you need to try these on your own. And I know they're exactly the same problems, but I want you to practice them. That's why it's duplicated in the packet. I just realized that number 4 is different than the other problems you've been doing because there will be a remainder. So the main thing that you have to know is what these symbols mean. So they're saying find the quotient, which is the rectangle up here, the quotient polynomial. The r of x is the remainder polynomial over, so that's the fraction, over the 3x plus 4. So that's your goal. In this problem, there is going to be a remainder. So look for the end of this problem, how you write it differently, because there will be something left over.